Plan for today then is we got the rest of our wall excavated out. The base is in, all the rock is in, so we're just going to base out the rest of it, get the rest of our base blocks in, and then we'll have a couple guys building behind whoever's basing and backfill and stack and backfill.
Okay, so while that's Sam's plan, that's not my plan. This is the lost footage. We weren't able to find all of it. Unfortunately, we still had one camera fry a lot of good stuff out. But my plan is to use this lost footage to break down exactly how much money we lost on this job, because there's been a lot of questions on, well, couldn't you charge for this and couldn't you charge for that? And we're gonna answer all of those questions today, but there's something I gotta do first. This stays up. This stays up. This doesn't. Okay. I thought this was blank on one side. Man, that kind of sucks. How's that look to you guys? Does that look like an LMN? Because I've asked LMN, they actually help support this show. So I've asked them, can you send me a banner? Because I want to put it up on the wall behind me. Do you think I could get a banner? Do you think that's possible? Nope. So here you go. I'm going to make my own LMN banner. This is my LMN banner. LMN. Let's put the word banner up. There you go.
All right, so next step, we got another course on up here. This next course is going to be a grid layer. So we're going to backfill it and lay the grid back and stack another course. We got the one cut here for our inside 90. Let me tell you what, I do not like these inside 90s, because here's why. You have a cut side going up against a rough side, and there's like no way you can get that to not have a little bit of a gap.
It's a very tiny gap he's talking about. So you got a rough surface and you got a smooth surface, and so if this is just literally the difference between a smooth surface and a rough surface. Okay, so I wanted to break down where we lost money on this project. We had verified change orders, so the unforeseen circumstances that happened, we could charge for that. Where we lost money was in our overhead, and this is where a lot of guys start to not really calculate that into the overall cost of a project, but for our company, on average, we have about $1,000 in overhead per day. That means that whether we work or don't work, it costs us $1,000 just to wake up in the morning and do absolutely nothing. That's insurance. That's all of the, overhead, building expense, rent, upkeep, things that no matter what happens, hit you as an expense. And so in the beginning of this job, we had a breakdown. We lost time there. Then we had a soil correction, which we got to charge for, but Tim and I had to figure out how to do the soil correction. Then we had to talk to engineers. And while we were doing all of that, we were still losing time. We were losing lost hours. The guys were still working, but they weren't working full throttle. They were working part throttle because we didn't know if we were veering left and doing a soil correction like this or veering right and doing a soil correction like that. So while production slowed down, our overhead costs just continued to go.
I know I'm going heavy on the glue. I'm doing that on purpose though, because there are a lot of kids in this complex, and they're going to be climbing all over this wall when we're done.
I love the fact that he takes that into consideration. The kids like to climb on top of the blocks, and without a good amount of glue on it, those blocks can separate.
Alright guys, so On the corners, there's two different types. There's an inside 90 degree and what they call an outside 90 degree. And the inside, like what we got going on over there, is just like that, right? And then the outside, like this, obviously, is like that. So I'm working on the outside right now. What you do, just take either A or B, it doesn't really matter. You have the rough side on one end, and then you need to split the other end, which I've done that already. And when you're splitting these caps, it's not like when you're doing the blocks where you can kind of just score either side and beat the balls off of it on the back and split it like that. For these, you need to score each side and then constantly keep rotating it so you get a nice clean split on there. Otherwise, it can end up looking kind of crappy.
Yeah, so what Sam is talking about is those splits on the caps, they don't have a beveled edge to let you slide a chisel in and use, so you gotta really finesse those, meaning you gotta work them all the way around evenly. You can't bang one side or another because the whole face won't split at the same. So but let's actually break down how much money we lost on this job. At $1,000 per day, our first breakdown, we didn't lose a full day of work. We were able to pull this ASV in to save the day. Then we discovered our first of 4 soil corrections. The first one took us the longest, between 2 and 3 days, to really come up with a solution and to get that solution approved. And we can't expense the lost time because we can't expense our overhead toward the project if we're not actually working. At least that's not the way we operate, okay? We can expense the change in the project, but not the lost time. And so we lost days there on the first soil correction. Then we had snow turn to rain. We lost more days there, about 3 more days. So we have a total of about 6.5 days.
All right, guys, we are calling it a night. We're pretty much out of daylight. So here's what we got done. We got this area all dialed in. It's graded out. Everything's pitching down that way towards the parking lot. Because if you guys remember, of this whole area was just a swamp. There was nowhere for the water to go. It's just sitting in here and getting nasty. So now it's all heading towards the parking lot where they got drains and all that stuff. And what else? I'm 90% of the way done with the caps. I just have to cut a couple for this little radius, and then way over there at the corner there's a little radius. I need to cut like 2 blocks. So we'll do that right away in the morning on Monday. What else? We started getting everything top dressed, so this side is all good to go. The other side going up the slope is all good to go. We just have this little area to kind of fill in a little more, and then top dress for the slope right up there. So we'll do that on Monday too. What else? Oh yeah, they want us to seed all of this. So we're gonna get that all, get the rest of the black dirt down, seed it, and then we're gonna put some straw mat down. That sucker's froze down, holy.
Sam is smiling, but the birds and mice need food too, right? And whatever doesn't get turned into critter chow will grow in the spring. So back to how much money we lost. Up to about the second soil correction, we had lost 6.5 days at $1,000 per day. So about $6,500 up to that point. Then we had the Volvo breakdown. Then we discovered a third soil correction, and then we discovered a fourth soil correction. And then we had another snowstorm come in, and then it warmed up again. So it was back and forth, seesaw, 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 and all of those seesaws cost us around 14 to 14.5 days of lost time that's not billable to the customer because it wasn't their fault. Right here, what Blaine is doing is connecting the drain tile.
All right, we'll get this whole drain tile out of here, the rest of the way out of here. Whoa, that wasn't doing much.
So the drain tile, what he's doing is he's using a solid pipe so it can't plug up from the dirt we're pouring right on top. That's not a French drain system, but that is connected into the drain system that we have embedded in front of the wall as part of our soil correction. So we calculated that. Oh, here's the deal. I'm not I can't disclose the cost of this job to you, but I can disclose how much money we've lost on this job. So although we came out okay on the soil corrections, overall we lost 14 and a half days at around $1,000 per day.
All right, got all the cuts done for the little radius here. Now we're just gonna get some glue down. Well, we're gonna clean the top of these blocks off and get some glue down, put the caps back. Then I have 2 more cuts I gotta do up there. So I'll get those cut, sign the back of them, and that'll be that on the wall. The last cut, just measured it out.
That feels good to watch. It's so good to get off this one.
All right, guys, this has been a long time coming. It's been a long and brutal road, but this wall is finally done, and what a relief. Let me tell you what, everything on this site fought us every single step of the way. They were having water issues. This entire complex is built on top of a pond. We were having problems with the materials. We were having to do soil corrections. We were having problems with the machines. We were fighting the weather, just one thing after another, but we're done.
And, well, we weren't quite done at that point. We still had more cleanup to do. We had to lay out the rest of the filter fabric, and then we had to power broom the lot. We weren't going to wash it because everything was freezing and it was bad, so we ended up power brooming it. No big deal. But I feel like overall, hopefully this video has helped you guys out or entertained you at least. We got some cool stuff coming down the pipeline. Some of you guys wanted to see some hand tool stuff, so I got that. If I'm not really sure where that's going to get released yet, in what order. Oh, LMN Software. I really want to clarify that these guys are an amazing group of people to work with. They really have been. A friend of the show. They've helped give me enough time that allows me to stay in a fairly regular, consistent program Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 6 p.m. That's what my release date, and then I'm always trying to be on for that hour as well. So if it wasn't for those guys, man, my life would be a heck of a lot more difficult. And just to let you know, they're a software system for contractors. And this is probably one of the absolute best fundamental things I've seen, like, period. And I mean that wholeheartedly, because the software system, it just doesn't do. You just punch it like a monkey hitting a keyboard. It coordinates with your entire accounting system and so many other advanced capabilities. One of my favorites that a lot of guys hate, a lot of guys get pissed about this, but they actually have gone through and they have industry pricing. So as you're calculating out what your proposal should be and you're lost, which a lot of guys get lost, there's industry standard pricing that helps you figure out how to do the bids and proposals. Like, what's the price per square foot for retaining walls, or the price per yard for mulch at this thickness versus this thickness? What's the price per sod? I don't know what I'm saying. They do all these things. And so it's actually really a fundamental tool. Amazing for contractors. And that's why I'm actually proud to say I work with them. And that's why you'll see that in the background. But that's our video for today. God bless you guys, and go get them. You wouldn't think I would forget this. Today's drink is Spindrift Sparkling Water. My first time I ever got this was at Top Notch Equipment with Harry and Dustin. They handed me a can of this. They got it from Costco. I found it at Cub Foods. It's literally just 2 things: water and real squeezed fruit, unsweetened, amazing. It's freaking my favorite today. God bless and go get them, you guys.